realistically anticipated. So, up until now has been partially review and partially kind of digging down deeper into the idea of using a logic model to identify what you're doing, what you hope to achieve, how you're going to do it, and what it'll take to do that. So I'm going to pause now and see if anybody has any questions up to this point to make sure that we're all on the same page. No questions? Are we good?
Good.
All right. Then let's move forward to the main meat of today's webinar, which is how do we select and create performance measures to track progress. So to operationalize the definition, what are performance measures? It's the data that you're going to collect to figure out how much you did, how well you did it, and what impact you had. And there are two kinds of performance measures. One set of performance measures are measures of effort. We have been referring to them as outputs. In my experience, I understand that output and outcome is not something that naturally, these are not terms that come naturally to some people, and the language isn't so familiar. So let's see if effort and effect speak better to you. So effort. Measures of effort describe whether and to what extent the activities that were implemented as you had intended. Did you do what you wanted to do, and how well did you do it? So some of the measures that commonly are used are things like how many people participated, what did you produce, how did you disseminate it, how far did the dissemination go, and attitudes. What did the participants think about the activities and the information, very often collected through participant satisfaction surveys? Okay? This does not focus on outcomes, which is what the effect of what you did was on the learner. The effect measures really are focused on tracking whether the activities made a difference. It's not how well you did it. It is, did your activity get to the point, move you towards your goal? So, one of the performance measures that you might think about is some kind of demonstration of learning. Even as simple as being able to articulate, here are one or two big ideas that I learned. An attitude change about the topic, not the attitude about the workshop, but let's say you came in and thought that logic models were a whole big bunch of hooey. And I was able, through this webinar, to change your attitude so that you said, it may not be something that I'm ready to apply, but I can see the value in attitude, in logic models. And a third outcome, which may be farther down the road, would be implementation of strategies. So for the work that you do in teacher professional development, they learn a strategy at a PD offering, and then not only can they articulate what they've, not only do they have a positive attitude about the value or about their intent to use it, but then they actually implement it in their classrooms. So just out of curiosity, actually, the terms effort and effect, do they speak better to any of you, or were outcomes and outputs fine?
Hi, it's Frida. I think output and outcomes are fine. I think we should, if we're engaging in this process, we should learn the correct terminology.
Okay. Everyone agree?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. All right, so here's another little tip. When you choose performance measures, here's some things to think about. You can read them, but I'll elaborate just a little bit. So think about whether the punishment fits the crime. Does the performance measure, will it give you the answers that you want to answer the evaluation questions that you've raised? Is the measure suitable both to the program and to the respondent population? For example, if you have a group of educators who are not so technologically savvy, would you want to give them a survey that is administered online? Probably not. If the program that's being evaluated is geared toward changing classroom practice, and it's really important to you to know that they have applied one or more of the strategies, is it enough to have them just give you feedback about what they learned? You get the idea. I want to point out also that the reference to this tip comes from Jesma's publication, Pathways, which is a handbook for evaluation in Jewish settings. It's a goldie oldie, and yet, as I went through to prepare for this webinar, I realized how useful it is, and we still stand behind it. It is or will be available online through the Sosland Online Resource Center, and you can download it, or I believe we may have some copies available, and you can be in touch with me if you lost your copy or if your central agency has misplaced it and you want an additional copy. But there are a whole bunch of both nuggets and suggestions about how to conduct evaluation and some sample tools, and I really recommend it to you.
Leora?
Yes?
It's Michelle Brooks. So I'm wondering, on this list, is there also the idea of consequences? Like we're evaluating one of our programs, and in doing so, and reporting our findings, my supervisor said to me, well, if we find that this program is not effective, we have to be able to deal with the consequence. What are the consequences if we find X? Then, how do we present it to our audience? And what are the messages we want to send out? And then what happens as a result of finding, as a result of doing this evaluation, which I guess, I didn't think yet about because we're just starting to survey people. But it's really a big question because it's a program that's been going on for 9-10 years, and it's funded by, our federation. And if we find that it's not been effective, it's like, what have we been doing the last 10 years? So to us, it's like thinking about those consequences of what we find.